Well, all right, everyone. This is it. This is us, me and MauLer, on the final episodes of Firefly, Objects in Space.
Though not the end, sort of
Not-
the end.
Not the end. It's the end of the TV show, but not the end of
Mhm.
the Firefly story. So we've still got Serenity to look forward to, and I'm very much looking forward to that. But this is the final episode of the one and only season. And, as we always do, we watch it in advance so that we can talk about it. We're a bit more informed as we work our way through actually doing the watch together. And, wow, this is an interesting way to end a season. It's not quite what I expected. I don't know if you want to talk about this as we go, or if I just give a little summary before we start, or what. You can tell me what suits you best, MauLer.
Well, you can give your broad thoughts before we start, I suppose. The last episode now. You could even talk a bit about the series if you want to.
I will do that as we go, and then definitely at the end. I think this would be a superb, just like mid-season episode, just a nice little one-and-done standalone adventure. Obviously, it's a nice opportunity to learn a bit more about River and what her abilities are, and get her to actually do stuff. She's, as I've said before, she tends to get pushed into the background a lot of the time. When there's more important things going on with the rest of the crew, they don't quite know what to do with her a lot of the time.
Mm-hmm.
But this is a very River-centric episode, which is great. But yeah, it doesn't feel like it's a conclusive ending to the season. It doesn't feel like there's been any kind of overarching story that this one ties together in any particular way. It just feels like a standard episode. It's an odd one.
So all I know is according to the official companion that this episode was originally filmed between War Stories and Trash, but Joss Whedon and Tim Minear felt the episode was a really great summarization of the series and that it would suit being put at the end. And it causes very tiny continuity errors, being that some people learn things in this episode that they reference in earlier ones, but it's nothing significant. Personally, I'm not sure what I would have chosen if I was told when I hadn't realized at the time. You have to pick one of the 14 to be the last episode. Which one will it be? I'd be like, I don't actually know exactly. I'd have to think about that for a while. But I'm not sure it would have been this one.
I think it would have been Out of Gas, realistically.
It's an excellent episode.
Well, I think as well because it ties together like a lot of the origin stories for the crew and how they joined and stuff, which just seems like kind of an appropriate way to tie it up as like the final episode of the season.
I can see that. For me, I remember when I first saw this, it struck me as very odd to the point where I hadn't realized I was watching the final episode, and so when it finished and that was that, I was like, "What?" I was like, "That's it." That's the whole season over. It didn't feel like they had led me to the end, which actually makes it even hurt even more that the show didn't make it. It's like, oh, is this a result of that? And it's like, in some ways, yes, it kind of is.
So it wasn't it wasn't that they were planning, say, a 22 episode season or anything, and they were just literally chopped off midway through. It was always going to be 14 episodes. It was just this was how they were going to end it.
I'd have to check. I'm pretty sure it was always going to be that. It's just that they assumed that they'd get renewed. I can't remember if it was a truncated season in general or if it got cut off. Because we talked about how they knew... I forget the name of the episode, but the one with the corpse that they had to take care of that woke up and then went back to being a corpse. Because there's tidbits about how they knew they were getting cancelled, no filming parts of that or whatever. At least something to do with the score. In any case, I'm not 100% clear on that. It's just that I wouldn't have thought, even from the full 14, that any of them are strictly finale content. And I wonder if that is evidence of something went wrong. Because oftentimes the way Joss Whedon's talked about this a couple of times is he always tries to push a lot of the budget to the last episode to make it bombastic, to have something big and final happen. This is all of Buffy and Angel have this going on.
Mm-hmm.
And the goal is to impress and to get the ratings just, cranked up a little bit at the end to give confidence to the studio and everything. The rising popularity. But this one's, because I like this episode a lot. I like all of them. But it's just
And yeah, like it's an oddly structured season when you have now seen it in its totality, because like I say, normally with shows like this, there is, a whole bunch of just adventures of the week, but then there's an overarching storyline that will like impinge on it from time to time, and it tends to become more and more prevalent as you build up towards the end of the season. There'll be some kind of like overarching threat that needs to be dealt with, or some overarching issue that kind of gets resolved by the end of the season, that then sets up the grounds for season 2, and then off you go. You're raring to go for the next one. But yeah, you really don't get that here. It's just it's a good episode, but it's just a kind of normal adventure of the week kind of episode for the most part.
Yes, with a episode of the week sort of villain that you'd expect would likely have made a return had they kept.
I super like him. Like I know we're going to talk about it as we go, but like such a fucking cool villain.
He is incredibly unique. Holy shit,
Yeah, I've never seen anything quite like him before. Just the way he talks and the random tangents that he goes off on. It's really weird and interesting.
Yeah, you said we'll talk more as we go forward, but yeah, it is the end of the season, and as you guys have probably heard from the course of this 14, if you've watched them all, we're both quite fond of the whole thing. Especially now, it feels weird because Drinker has seen as much of Firefly the show as I have.
Yeah, I'm all caught up. I'm 20 years too late, and I feel bad about that. That's, I guess, what I tried to sum up when I did my review of this show. Just that kind of slightly melancholy feeling that you get when it's like, one, this thing that you've enjoyed quite a bit is now coming to an end, and two, what might have been with this if people like me had given it more of a chance back in the day and hadn't been just put off or dismissed it, as some weird sci-fi cowboy nonsense that didn't really make any sense. That's the sad reality of it.
It's hard not to have your mind wander a little bit. Buffy and Angel are like hyper meaningful to me, and I know that if Firefly got to continue, considering this was being made in what I consider to be like the creatives behind its prime, and we already seen the 14 as being like, holy shit, that was excellent. I can vouch for the film. Point being, if we got a 5-season show and they got to flesh out everything they wanted, it's like, man, that could have been like one of the best TV shows that ever was made. And the cultural impact could have been enormous. Look how impactful it is when it was only what you could call half a season in a movie.
Yep.
So, and it's like, well, on the other hand, of course, it could have been ruined. It could have been the later seasons were awful. Could have been blah, blah, blah. And then, of course, there's the other one of we could have not had this at all. We could have been in that world where we didn't get any Firefly. So, you try not to wonder about the multiverse and instead appreciate what you have, which is a really good season and a really good movie, and what is essentially a core inspiration for a lot of storytellers. Loads of people reference and were inspired by Firefly. It's a big deal.
No, yeah, I love it, and the fact that it's still talked about even now. Like when I was in Grand Rapids for the Comic-Con there last November, there was a group of people there all dressed up as the crew of Serenity. Like every character was represented, and it was so fucking cool to see. Loved it.
That's awesome.
But yeah, I guess we should dive into the episode and start talking about it. So if you guys at home are ready, if you've got a copy of Objects in Space ready to go, then we'll do this. For the last time, we're going to start in 3, 2, 1.
Yeah, I think I'd mentioned to you this takes place just months before the film will. So as much as it is the TV show and the movie, they are very much connected. And, I would never recommend anyone watch Serenity without Firefly.
That would be a baffling experience. It'd be like, who the fuck?
It still works.
All these people.
I happen to remember, because me and my sisters were obsessed with Firefly because of Buffy and Angel and everything. So when Serenity came out, we watched that. But my dad hadn't seen Firefly, but he watched Serenity and he thought it was great.
Well, I mean, that's pretty impressive then. If it can still stand on its own as a great level.
You'll see when you watch it, there's a great effort to bring people in who haven't seen Firefly, but to benefit from Firefly as well.
I do. I like this whole sequence, right? Because I guess this is meant to give us an insight into how River perceives the world. You know, where she flits in between like the actual real events that are taking place and the conversations that are going on, and then sudden bursts of I don't know, like you're reading people's thoughts, or you're seeing possibilities or you're seeing glimpses of the future with them.
Yeah,
It's
they've
odd.
as much as River's probably the hardest one to figure out of the cast, you can still gather that that's kind of part of the point, is that her existence is quite confusing, discombobulating, frustrating, and it's filled with loads of different sources of information that she's trying to figure out. And yeah, we've had glimpses of it throughout the season of her realizing the consequences of everything that's happened to her that aren't even her fault in relation to her brother, but that and a couple of shows cover this, like, you know, that he's probably having fleeting thoughts here and there that she can detect that are not the greatest to hear.
Yeah. It's a great little conversation this between Jane and
Well,
Book.
this is the thing about this fucking show. I could easily have an episode of just wandering around the ship, catching up with everybody doing stuff. That's how
Yeah.
like solid the characters are. That's when you know you're in a good place.
It's like he's being all like diplomatic about it, and then Jane just comes in like, "Oh, so you masturbate?" This is like little, little flashes of Book's past, isn't it? Because you know, there's all these hints scattered throughout the season that he is not, in fact, a shepherd. He's something else, and he seems to have this history with the Alliance.
Well, you're this far now, so I can say, of course, that this season doesn't cover it, and they decided with everything going on. I think the original script for Serenity had an explanation of Book's history, and they decided to lose it because it was getting way too dense. And you'll discover when you watch it that is a dense fucking script as it is, because they are clearly concerned with giving Firefly its ending if it's going to be its ending, which it did turn out to be.
Yeah. There's so many things hinted at that I wanted to know more about this season, like the Reavers, the guys with the blue gloves on that you see.
Yep.
Like so much, like all these tidbits
Well, I can assure
that they're laying
you,
down for you.
you will be getting a lot of answers on stuff in the movie, and I consider them, you know, there's different results for different people, but I am very satisfied with where they took the story.
Yeah.
I really love the two lines we get from these two, from River getting in their heads.
Yes. What's her one? It's like, I'm a big girl, I can take the truth or something.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a really interesting choice to start the episode like this, and just give us that insight now into how she actually struggles to just separate reality from glimpses of the future and telepathy and all that stuff. It's just like this crazy world that she's stuck in.
Yeah, it really helps you understand her a bit better, even though being understood is kind of a difficult thing for her right now. I also love this sort of turn here.
Yeah. It's brilliant because it is so jarring when you first see it. I love how they gave her a Desert Eagle as well. That gun is an absolute beast.
Because, yeah, if you remember, there was a point in the season where he said, like, you're not allowed to leave her alone at any point, because when she slashed Jane, I think.
Mm-hmm.
But
yeah, well, that comes up again quite a bit, doesn't it? Because he's really sore about that one.
And it's easy to believe that enough days of her behaving, that would sort of be let go as a rule.
Yeah. I mean, it's an interesting comment there from Simon as well, saying like the medication that he doses her with, like her body's building up an immunity to it really quickly. So it's like, what are they just running out of options to treat her gradually?
Well,
Oh, this is
this
the
will be the
last time we're
last
going to hear
time. Yep.
this. Yeah, this tune.
Well,
That's
yeah.
why we were quiet throughout that, because it was like I just wanted to listen to it for the last time, just enjoy it.
It's just bittersweet, the whole thing.
What might have been. There he is. There's Mr. Early.
Jubel early.
His ship's got the kind of Slave One look about it, like the way it's oriented and stuff.
Definitely attempting to reference that subtly, I think. But apparently not so subtly.
Yeah, yeah, I guess. It's so funny as well that he's got like a picture of his mom and a dog. I mean, that becomes super important later, but yeah.
What a crazy collection of like ways to write this character, and then they found an actor who was perfect for it.
Yes. Yeah,
I wonder how many people they went through, because like this guy feels like purpose, like they knew, they were like, this is perfect. This is exactly what we were thinking about.
Really like quirky and eccentric, but also able to like switch it on a, turn on a dime and like become really, malicious and dangerous.
I mean, he's got one of the more terrifying moments, I think, in the entire season. Despite
when
being
he's talking to
Haley,
Kaylee.
Kaylee,
yeah,
sorry.
that conversation takes a dark turn very quickly, doesn't it?
Well, I was going to say is, it feels like it's darker than, because there's something about media in our culture where you can chop people's arms off and it won't be anywhere near as dark as what he says in that scene.
Yes. Yeah.
Wacky fun.
He always got a great comeback, does Wash. I never quite understood why she'd never told anyone about this before.
My assumption is she didn't know what to do with the information or what it would mean to tell them. What happens to River if she was to tell people about it? And I think she was conflicted too, because she did save her life, but she's also terrifying.
Yeah. I mean, I was racking my brains, like trying to think, like, okay, during that, like, did River like say to her, like, don't tell anyone about this, keep it secret or whatever? Like, I didn't remember it, so yeah, I guess she was just, as you say, didn't really know how to handle the information.
Yeah, my assumption is she just didn't know what the consequences of giving the information away might be. And maybe it was a bit early in the season to, it could cost them being on the ship, I guess, maybe. In any case, she feels more comfortable with it now. I enjoy the conversations as the season goes on, though, being able to reference so much of what's happened. It's makes it feel much more cohesive and real.
Yeah. It was like the bit where Mal was kissing the whore, and it's like, oh, I was just checking to make sure I didn't pass out. Just a nice little like reference there.
The thing is, a certain amount of the audience will be thinking about these things, and so having them brought up makes these people feel like they lived those things.
Yes.
probably it as well, right? Not even understanding what she just saw, sort of thing. Hmm.
I mean, yeah, if I'd been her, I think I would have wanted to tell people about it. Just like because you can phrase it as like, well, she did save my life, and it's like that's clearly awesome, but also we need to be aware that like she's got. I feel like that as well. She's just standing on the
Yeah.
railings. But yeah, she's clearly got abilities that are way over and above what a normal human is capable of. We ought to get this checked out or something.
Yeah, I don't even know how that makes it better. Like, oh, how ironic.
It's great these the way that the camera switches like this. So she's listening to them from below decks and he's
Yeah.
listening to them from above. It's neat.
A witch. She's in Congress.
Sometimes he's like just so monumentally dumb. Like, how do you even function?
Like, I wouldn't put this at the bottom of the list for a finale, but because I can get pieces of it as to why they would have chosen it. We get the bottle of the characters themselves, get a lot of focus on who these people are and how they solve problems, but also getting River's bigger revelations, or at least set up for the intrigue about her that's going to be very much explored in the movie, might have been strategic.
I because the thing is like I love Early as a character. He's really interesting, but I think I would have had like the guys with the blue gloves come in or something instead, because they've obviously been sent to Retriever, and they seem to represent like the real organization that's experimented on a like part of the Alliance. I think that would have been a better way to bring the season to a bigger conclusion.
Yeah, something that sort of hits the broad plot. Like I said, that's what they usually do, the Mutant Enemy seasons. So it must be something to do with getting cut off. I'm not sure.
Yeah. When I was watching this for the first time, I was like, "Oh God, they're having another heart to heart. He's going to fuck this up in some way." Just waiting for him to say something really awkward, but he does okay here.
It's a good way to do that, right? Like he even corrects himself into it. It's almost her fault, and it's like, well, it's not her fault at all. It's their fault.
Yeah. It's funny, at a moment like this, you know something's going to happen, and sure enough, it does.
Well, as we've talked about, is like getting that tension, you know.
Yep, it's well, it's
Push
always
pull,
got to
push
be.
pull, push pull.
Yeah.
And to an extent, real people do this. Like they get a bit antsy about crossing a line.
Yeah. I like how, even she there was like, oh God, I can't believe I used such a shit line.
Yeah.
Like, still doesn't know what to say. I still think that's a neat design. I haven't really seen that since like first or second episode, like him going down
I
into
like
his
it too.
quarters.
Yeah, because they've all got their rooms like that, right?
Yeah. Yeah, because this is like the main corridor, and like they're all just down from there, it seems to be. Kaylee's got the coolest one. She's got lights and everything around hers.
Yeah, I could totally have pictured him coming back in a season 2 or something, and I would probably consider giving him like a kill for a significant character too, because
Ooh, you're
he's
generous.
well, he's super ruthless, and he'd be super pissed off with them too if he got back.
I mean, he doesn't, because he doesn't really kill indiscriminately or anything. Like even with Simon, he just shoots him in the leg, and that's it. Like, I feel like he would have been
No,
quite
yeah, he takes
justified.
efforts to avoid execution. You can tell, but I get the impression that this is the kind of character that's fucking.
It's great because like later on, Mal describes him as blurry.
Yeah,
Just like
he's too fast for him.
yeah. Because he obviously thought he had the drop on him there, just like, stood there in the corridor looking all macho.
I do wonder about that though. If you had like a full set of seasons for a Firefly, I wonder how long the core crew would last before they'd want to kill one of them. Storytelling wise,
Yeah. Who would you pick if you had to lose someone?
Oh, that's a tough one. I'd have to think about that for a while because I need to go over what's going to have a really big impact and what's someone who we don't just replace immediately with the new version. Because that's the thing, they all run a role.
Yes. I think if I was to like, who's kind of the most expendable amongst the crew, it might be Zoe.
That could be pretty effective too.
Yeah, like, because what would that do to Wash? Because yeah, like she doesn't have a specific role so much as she's just kind of like Mal's backup.
Yeah, his brain fucking wanders.
Oh yeah. Yeah, he'll just it's when he like stops to lick the railing and shit. Like, there's no reason behind it. Just
I will say it's not just his delivery; it's her performance here is excellent.
oh yeah. That yeah, like as I think you said, a show now just I don't think it would have the balls to just throw a line like that in.
Not just that, the follow up, he makes sure she understands very perfectly what the situation is.
Yep. Yeah, because I think she kind of just does capitulate. She doesn't really like try and fight back or like
No, I think he
take him
just
down or
terrifies
anything.
her.
Well, yeah, and that's, I think, again, a very mature way of looking at a situation like this, because she's not really a brawler. And yeah, you probably would submit, I guess, in the hopes that you're not going to get murdered.
That's why the crew is such a fantastic set of characters. You get very different personalities throughout all of them that would react to all of this differently.
Boom. Book is out of the game.
Yep.
I always did find it interesting that like some of the crew just literally sleep through the whole thing, effectively.
Well, yeah, it's I think it's nice that they actually did that. 'Cause it's a bit realistic. Not everybody's, and I mean, this guy's supposed to be good at his job as well. So
Yeah. And like, yeah, for an episode like this that has to be kind of centered around just a core group of characters, you need some way of accounting for the others to get them out of the action, so they don't overcomplicate things. And so, yeah, it's fine. I think there's a great little payoff with Jane where you think he's going to intervene.
Yeah.
Like, it's just the blanket.
it's like, what? Oh,
It's a conversation
weird.
that would just never happen in situations like this in any other show or movie.
No. He keeps you completely like off kilter the whole time. Is it still a room if she's not there?
Simon's look there is amazing.
It's like, what conversation are we having? Like,
You do wonder what the thought process was to come up with a character like this, eh? Because they obviously had a very definite idea of like the personality they wanted to give him, and they've obviously been able to pair him up with a really good actor to play it. But it's like, yeah, where did that germ of an idea come from? It's like, how about if we have a really like deadly, lethal bounty hunter, but he's also a fucking Fruit Loop?
well, it's said that he's just like the ship. He's supposed to have been inspired by Boba Fett, and it's like the only connection I could ever see between him and Boba Fett is they're good at their job. Like because there's nothing about. I mean, to be fair, Boba Fett doesn't really have a personality in the OT.
Yeah, but
Outside
if
of, like,
anything, he's you could say he's a character of few words, like lets his actions speak for him, which is cool and
Sure.
stuff. But this guy's the exact opposite. He's always talking.
And he's talking about all kinds of things,
Yes, yeah, his mind is just wandering from.
switching channels all the time. Because he's still, despite all of the ramblings, he's like it's clever about the way that he does everything.
Yeah, and I don't know. Maybe he's. You could make the argument this is like some kind of act to throw people off guard or something. There's that little hint about Book. He's not a
Mm.
shepherd.
He just wasn't listening to anything Simon said.
Yeah. It's a great way though to like throw someone off and then just completely derail the conversation. Like you just start with something totally unrelated, just go off on a tangent and then just leave.
He keeps you guessing because when he says like the shot thing, it sounds like he wants it's about Simon specifically, or that he wants to threaten him. It's like no, he's talking about the nature of a surgeon.
Yeah. His phrase that he uses a lot is, "Does that seem right to you?" Like he's just like continuously baffled by the world.
I agree with him. The Firefly is a good design.
Yeah. Again, this is just a great sign. Like, yep, as much as he might seem to be wandering philosophically, like he is 100% tuned into everything around him.
Yeah.
And yeah, he did. He brought up a great point with Simon. It's like the reason you're going to come with me and cooperate is because you're going to wait for a chance to try and take me down. The longer you're with me, the better your chances.
I really like that. Yeah. Super interesting. All right
I
then.
mean, sure, yeah.
I don't know, we're getting to a thing that would also probably not happen if this were made today.
No, absolutely.
It's something that we don't get to talk about much, but whenever there's a film that has like an 18 rating, but it's not overtly a horror or some kind of like especially like a reason we know for gore or for swearing or for nudity or for drug use that we know it's going to be for one of those things. It feels like the movie is freer because it could have anything happen if it's only suitable for adults or something like that. And in the same vein, seeing him hit her very much like says to me like shit man, this script is free, like it can do what it wants.
Yeah, and it's able to accomplish, stuff that's relatively shocking and impactful like that without showing a lot of gore or anything. It is just like someone slapping another person, effectively. But it's
I mean,
shocking because of how it's portrayed on screen, how vulnerable she looks all of a sudden.
yeah, and they did this on purpose, I'd imagine. She is one of the last people on the crew we'd expect to get hit like that.
Yeah. And it's funny, how you mentioned earlier, like people within the crew have like specific roles, and some people are fighters, some people are like engineers or whatever it might be. Not everyone can do everything, but I feel like if this was done today, they would make sure that all the girls are all fighters because they would
Yeah.
have to be, and again, it's
Well,
just
she
like
would have grabbed
completely
his
negates the
hand
idea.
when he went to hit
Yes.
her.
Same
And
thing with with Kaylee when he threatened to rape her.
yeah.
And he's going to tie her up. There's like she would have fought back in some way and like or reasserted dominance in the conversation just because you have to show that she's in charge or whatever. And it's like, no, you don't need that. It's way more impactful to have a character actually looks terrified.
Were you a bit confused for a little while with this at first?
Sure. I mean, I figured she was playing some kind of trick on him, but I was like, yeah, I'm pretty sure you can't dissolve and melt into the ship. So even Simon's got that look of like, what the fuck is she talking about? But early, even he does have that look of like, oh god, there's a chance she might be telling the truth somehow, and like I'm fucked. I can't get her if she is the ship. The only thing I would question about his tactics here is that he's left a whole bunch of people in a whole bunch of different locations, and it's probably difficult for him to like keep track of them all.
I think he
Whereas,
expected to be done a lot faster than he is. Because he was
yeah,
planning
probably.
on, especially because remember he confirmed they were talking about River, so he was like, so she's in there and she's like kind of ditzy, so I'll just go in, deal with whoever I need to, grab her and go, and it's become extremely complicated and weird.
It's just so funny that he started there, like actually trying to justify his line of work. Like he's quite
Live
like
by a
put out
code
by
though.
this.
Would have liked to have heard what he would consider his code.
Yeah.
You are now.
He's just like clutching at straws now.
I think he's genuinely baffled as to how the fuck she's pulling this off. Oh, this witty dialogue. Did you see him roll his eyes?
Yeah. Oh god, she's been River again. Yeah, so she's managed to free herself. She's heading towards the bridge with instructions from River, presumably.
Yes, River's puppeteering the whole thing, right? Because, like, yeah, her plan is actually really solid. It's just that Simon doesn't understand it fully. Awesomeness midget. Little man love fire.
Man love fire. Again, it's such a fucking weird little anecdote that he just drops in there. So good.
And she's doing a good job of shaking while she's doing all of that. She's getting
Yeah, like
quite
her
scared of him.
performance wise, like she nails it in this episode.
It's a fun shot.
It is, yeah. It's great as well to see how big the sets are. Like they're it goes back a fair old way, so it lets you do a lot with shots like that. You know the little jump cuts that you get here where he's like grimacing and stuff and pulling faces? Is that like the way that she perceives him? You're just getting little flashes of that.
We've seen this in lots of different media. I think it's up to us to figure out. I think that's a very fair interpretation that she knows she's getting to him, / he's trying to maintain composure. You when you see this happen in anything, it's always like what's going on in their head, you know?
Yes.
It's just how much is she aware of. But considering the episode took pains to explain how much she's perceptive of people's mental state, I would say that she's aware of this. But at the same time, you know, it could have been that is how he was feeling and how he perceives himself, and that he realized he doesn't need to worry about that because she's fucking with him. Which she is, kind of. Yes. And like, it's a really good plan. This is sold believably. He's on board. Even the audiences would have been caught up in this, but unfortunately, Simon is convinced by this. But I guess he would be, right? Because he's got insecurities about this.
For sure, yeah. And he's obviously going to want to try and stop this from happening. He wants to save her. He wants to keep her close. And yeah, it even ties back into his conversation with Early previous in the episode, where it's like, yeah, I've never been shot before as a surgeon. You've operated on people, you don't understand the pain that they're in. Now he has, so that's nice for him. He's got to see the other side of things.
And we get our shocking ad break.
They were good at it back in the day.
It's just funny to think about how much that would have to be incorporated into all their script writing, and they need to make sure they get that right.
Mm-hmm.
And hey, that'll be back in full force in just years from now, I'm sure.
Yeah, I mean, streaming's just going back to the conventional ad break model. That's a great moment from him.
It's so subversive because you'd be like, Jade versus Jubel? Yeah, let's go. And it's like, no, he just assumes people are walking around or some shit.
Yeah. It's just nice. It's a great example though, and this show does it all the time, where it does the unexpected. It subverts your expectations, but not in a smarmy, like, I just fucking hate you, viewer kind of way. It's like, no, we're just having a bit of fun with this, but we're still
it always
telling a
feels
good
like
story.
They're having fun with us.
Yeah.
Especially the music they gave Jade for that shot as well.
Yeah. The show's actually good with like actually the physics of space travel and things like this, where you could punch someone and they fly off into space, and if they don't have thrusters or anything, that's it.
He's fucked.
They're going to just keep drifting forever. I don't fully understand what happened to his ship there. It just kind of like flew off by itself.
Well, I assume that River would have set it to just fly away or something.
Yeah, maybe.
Probably worth taking all this shit out of it, though.
Yeah, I mean,
or even keeping it.
Yeah, because it could be useful. I presume it's a good ship if it's a bounty hunter.
You know, it reminds me of Farscape, where they keep the you keep trying to repair both the shuttle and they've got like a peacekeeper ship, right?
Yeah, they've got like a peacekeeper interceptor. I think that's Aaron's.
Mm-hmm. That comes up throughout the whole series, having those two ships.
Yeah, I do love the bit where Aaron's pursuing him, like when he's been possessed by the ship that
Scorpius.
Scorpius, and he just like fucking lands the ship on her, like the landing
Yeah,
gear
the
goes
landing
right
gear
through her
fucks up the
cockpit.
ship.
Yeah, it's a cool move. Yeah, so this like whole relationship between them is unresolved as well because she was planning to leave. Obviously, at the end of the previous episode, they were going to drop her off.
Well, it's safe to say Serenity is a 2-hour story that's got a lot of work to do.
Yep. Imagine having to tie up essentially 9 different plot threads plus all
It's
the
not
external
fair.
stuff that's going on. Yeah, that's a
No
lot.
one should have that kind of fucking pressure, but it's all they had, and it was, the fans would have desperately wanted it to be the thing it needed to be, and I think we were lucky that it ended up very fucking good.
You kind of wonder what she's seeing there at that moment. I must admit, though, that's a nice shot of the Serenity flying away. I know we get this
Yeah.
final shot of him.
That acceptance, man.
Here I am. And so endeth Firefly.
Neat show, isn't it?
That was okay. It could have been worse, Yeah, when you talked me into doing this, what feels like about 10 years ago at this point, because it's taken us a while to get through all these episodes, I went into it thinking it's got a killer rep, man. I just don't think it's going to live up to it. There's no way it can. And I was braced for disappointment, but nah, absolutely pleased with it. It's been a blast watching this. And watching that final episode, yeah, there's a little bit of melancholy there. It'll probably be 10 times worse when we watch Serenity, and that's it fully done story wise.
Yeah, it's you know the story very well before you watched any of it, and now you know it all with context, and it's not hard to understand. It's a meme that every time someone asks the question of, "Hey, which thing do you think was cancelled too early?" It's like, it's Firefly. That's always the number one.
Definitely.
Plenty of other things qualify, but this was it's a cult classic. Over the years of not being renewed, more and more people would see it, and more people would be like, what the fuck is going on? Why didn't this continue? And the answers ain't great, especially with just how much awful shit we get that manages to continue indefinitely. They made 3 seasons of Batwoman.
That is just, yep. It's a special kind of stupid that lets things like that happen. And I think that's the real injustice of it. Like, today I reviewed The Electric State, right? A movie cost $320 million. So I did a little bit of calculations based on what the projected costs for making an episode of Firefly, adjusted for inflation. You could have had 10 seasons worth of Firefly for the cost of that one movie.
And could you fucking imagine? Could you imagine?
I mean, I'm just saying, man, I know what I'd rather have. Yeah, but no, it's been a hell of a pleasant ride doing this. I finally got to experience this show that's been at the periphery of my awareness for like 20 odd years now. And it's great to have finally experienced it and have really enjoyed it. And it honestly did make a really good impression on me.
Yeah, I was hoping it would, and I'm glad to have watched it with you. It's been a fun journey. This Star Trek Firefly. It's funny how they're both sci-fi TV. Well, they were originally TV for Star Trek, but ultimately movies. It's just how incredibly different the approaches are, and yet how awesome both of them are.
Yeah, no, very much so. And hey, we've both experienced some fun new things that we wouldn't have seen otherwise, which is the essence of what we do here. I think that's the best, aspect of our jobs as content creators is like, learning things from each other and like getting to watch things that we
Yeah.
might have passed up otherwise, and like, a lot of the time coming away with like a really great experience at the end of it. That's the awesome thing. It's not about like complaining about shit stuff, even though as that's cathartic at times. It's things like this that I appreciate the most.
That's the thing, getting to know each other as creators and friends and stuff, is you get to be like, oh shit, out of all the things I like, this is the one that I know you'll like. It's like, you gotta see this. This should be in your repertoire. It's fun to do that with all kinds of different friendships and stuff. Because Firefly, I pretty much recommend to anybody. I think it's that good, but at the same time, I was like, nah, Drinker will really like this.
Yeah, how right you were. And you know what? You people who are watching this with us and who've stuck with us through all 14 episodes, we should thank you as well for putting up with
Yeah.
us. And we can only hope that you got some entertainment out of, whatever tiny insights we were able to share, and, the experience of rewatching this stuff. Hopefully you did rewatch your episodes of it. And maybe there's a few people out there who even got inspired to watch Firefly who wouldn't have seen it before.
Yeah, comment about it if you actually did. I'd be curious to read some of them. Anybody who decided to check it out because of us doing these videos. What did you think?
Yeah, no, definitely. But I think for now, that's pretty much all we have in terms of Firefly. We've, as we say, we will watch Serenity and we will do one final recording of that. And we'll maybe bring in a few guests as well to do it with us, I think. Because I know there's people out there who love it. But we will probably finish up there and say goodbye to Firefly for now. So that is all we've got. Go away now.
Bye.